Okay, so we're going to do two examples that include paragraph proofs. In the first example, the paragraph has kind of already been started for you, and you're just going to be filling in bits and pieces of what is missing in the paragraph. Okay. In the second one, we're going to do the whole paragraph proof on our own. Okay. All right, so let's look at the first one. This is a theorem to prove this is a proof to prove the supplementary right angles theorem. Okay, so there's what they have given us. They've given us two angles, angle W and angle V, and they're giving us this information. Angle W and angle V are congruent. That's why you see these little curves on them, and they are supplementary. Okay. We need to prove why angle W and angle V are right angles. And as we fill things in, I'm going to kind of write them out over here as well, because I think it'll be really easy for us to see the progression of our steps if it wasn't in a paragraph form. That's one reason why I don't like paragraph proofs. When we get to two-column proofs, I'm basically going to be showing this as a two-column proof, making it a lot easier. Okay? So here's the proof. Here's the beginning of the paragraph. Angle W and angle V are congruent. They told us that, right? Angle W and angle V are congruent. So let's write that in an equation form. The measure of angle W is congruent to the measure of angle V. That's just saying the same thing in an equation form. That's all that is. I'm just copying it over there, okay? Okay, we also are told that angle W and angle V are supplementary. That's also the given information. They always start you with something you need to know to finish the rest of it. So if I am told that angle W and angle V are supplementary, how would I write that in an equation form? Well, I know if they're supplementary, they add up to 180. So the measure of angle W plus the measure of angle V equals 180. So I'll only write that over here too. The measure of angle W plus the measure of angle V equals 180. This is where it starts to get a little confusing in knowing how to do this, okay? We have to take this equation and eventually get it to where it says this. The only way we're going to be able to show that those are equal to each other from these equations is to progressively show how each one is equal to 90, right? How am I going to show that they're equal to 90? Watch very carefully the steps that I progress through, okay? If I have already been told that angle W is equal to angle V, then I can use the substitution property, and that's what's listed over here. Substituting the measure of angle W for the measure of angle V in this equation would leave me with two angle W's, right? The measure of angle W plus the measure of angle W equals 180, okay? I'm substituting in the value of measure of angle W for V because I already know that they're equal to each other. So I'm just replacing the measure of angle V with the measure of angle W, okay? So I'm going to get the measure of angle W plus the measure of angle W equals 180. All I did was substitute this with this because I know that they're equal, okay? Now, there's a short way of writing this, and this is where it's going to help us a lot to write it this way. This is one angle W and one angle W. So if I have two angle W's added together, that's like 2x, okay? Same idea. This is the same thing as this, except I'm using this as my variable, okay? My variable is actually an angle measurement, okay? The measure of angle W, okay, there's two of them, two angle W's, okay? Well, if I was solving this equation, what would I do to solve it? Well, if to solve for x, I would divide by 2. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to divide by 2 to both sides. Because when I do that, that's going to leave me over on this left side with just the fact that the measure of angle W, what's 180 divided by 2? Oh, guess what it equals? It equals this. The measure of angle W, because this is 2, the 2's are dividing off, equals 90. Well, what did I do to get to that point? Well, I divided. I used the division property of equality. Okay? By the division property of equality, what did I arrive at? I arrived at this. The measure of angle W equals 90. Okay? I divided off the 2. Why were there 2? Because there were 2 angle W's when I substituted the measure of angle V with the measure of angle W. So when I substituted it in, it gave me 2 angle W's. 2 angle W's, if I want to cancel it, just like I would cancel 2 X's, I would divide by 2. Okay? So that's the same thing that you're doing with the angle. Okay? So I'm left with the measure of angle W equals 90. That's what I got when I did the division. Well, let's go back to the original statement right up here. Okay? If you go back to that statement, what does it tell me about angle W and angle V? That they're equal to each other. So if you just discovered that the measure of angle W is 90, since we know they are congruent, that means that the measure of angle V also has to be 90, okay? Because they told us that they're equal. If both of them are equal to 90 degrees, what does that mean the type of angle they are? Well, that means they're right angles. Angle W and angle V are right angles. But I couldn't do that until I proved that they were both equal to 90 degrees, and that's what these steps allowed me to do. This is very tricky, very, very tricky for your brain to think this way, okay? But you got to remember that one thing always leads to another. That's how we arrive at these, okay? Okay, I'm going to stop the video, and then I'll do the second